वृंद की जय, ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai, Prem se kaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopal Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai, Vrindavan Dham ki jai, Navadip Mayapur Dham ki jai, Ganga Mai ki jai, Jamuna Mai ki jai, Tulsi Devi ki jai, Bhakti Devi ki jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to the assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Shami Itanamani. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading, studying, discussing Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 17, text number 24. Mother Mukti Datri. Are you there?
Yes, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Would you mind reading the Bengali?
No, Prabhu, I can do it.
Thank you.
কেবল শব্দে পুনরপি নিশ্চয় করণ জ্ঞান যুগ তপকর্ম আদি নিবারণ.
The use of the word kevala only prohibits all other processes, such as the cultivation of knowledge, practice of mystic yoga, or performance of austerities and fruitive activities. Purport. Our Krishna consciousness movement stresses the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra only, whereas those who do not know the secret of success for this age of Kali unnecessarily indulge in the cultivation of knowledge, the practice of mystic yoga, or the performance of fruitive activities or useless austerities. They are simply wasting their time and misleading their followers. When we point this out very plainly to an audience, members of opposing groups become angry at us. But according to the injunctions of the Shastras, we cannot make compromises with these so-called Gyanis, Yogis, Karmis, and Tapasvis. When they say they are as good as we are, we must say that only we are good and that they are not good. This is our obstinacy. Excuse me, this is not our obstinacy. It is the injunction of Shastras. We must not deviate from the injunctions of the Shastras. This is confirmed in the next verse of the Caitanya Charitamrita. Om Jnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Shayam Rupagadamaikam Dadati Shapandantikam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Before speaking, I'd like to ask the permission and blessings of all the devotees, and particularly those who are senior by age or advancement in Krishna consciousness. Thank you very much. So this translation here, or description, is talking about a verse that was described last week. Does anybody remember that verse that was discussed last week?
Harer Nam, Harer Nam eva kevalam.
And then?
Kalau nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyatha.
Yes, very good. So one may inquire why this verse is inserted and discussed at this point in the Caitanya Caritamrita. It's not specifically mentioned, but it wouldn't be surprising to know that this is in Lord Chaitanya's activities in his youth, or when the Sankirtan movement of the congregational chanting of the holy names of God began in full swing. This was at this time. So Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, it may be this is why he's emphasizing this point now, because this is when Lord Chaitanya specifically inaugurated and popularized the Hare Krishna Sankirtan movement in Navadvip. And later it went all over India, and later has gone all over the world. Just like you can drop a stone in a body of water, and the ripples continue to go out to the edges of the water, even edges of the body of water. For it could be even many meters or miles. So the Srila Prabhupada mentions this point, that in the verse Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama eva kevalam, kevala only, kalo nasteva, nasteva, nasteva gatiranyata. So again, he's saying the chanting of the holy names, the chanting of the holy names of Hari, not just any holy name, but the chanting of the holy name of Hari, 3 times emphasis. Why? Why emphasis 3 times? Any idea?
When you want to emphasize something, you repeat it.
Yes, especially because in Kali Yuga, we are, especially me, but everybody, tend to be dull, and we don't get it right off the bat. We have to be reminded again and again, because we get off track very easily. You know, like children with ADHD. Sutta Goswami said that in this age of Kali, people are Kupadutaha, means always distracted in the mind. So, yes, just like a child has to, do this, do your homework, brush your teeth, so many times. So like that, we have to be reminded, because we get off track and we think, really, we should attract people by some yoga process, some Ashtanga or physical yoga process. And that's the way to do things. But here, Srila Prabhupada is specifically emphasizing not to do that, and very strongly. Of course, if someone wants to do that type of business outside of the temple, that's their business. But as far as the temple and the specific activities of the Hare Krishna movement should be focused primarily and exclusively on popularizing and engaging in chanting of the holy names of Lord Hari, as mentioned in this verse. And sometimes it's said that, we're being obstinate because of that. But no, it's not that we're not broad-minded, but at the same time, you have to give people the actual medicine. The medicine for this age of Kali, to rise above the 3 modes of material nature and actually have experience of the Supreme Personality of Godhead through devotional service, is by chanting of the holy names, not by any other process. And the diet is Krishna Prasadam, food that's been prepared for and offered to Krishna in love. So those things are very important, especially emphasized repeatedly by Srila Prabhupada, we'll see here, and other processes are not. Comments, questions, additions?
I have a question.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Kirtan Prabhu.
So why it is said that I understand that Kevala, only Harinam only, then why it is said that cultivation of knowledge, practice of Mishti Yoga, performance of austerities and fruitful activities, they are not for any other ages also, right? For God realization.
Well, practice of mystic yoga is recommended in the Satya Yuga, Krite Yadhyayato Vishnu. Practice of austerities and the performance of fruitive activities means
Karmakanda.
big sacrifice, yeah. Well, and then there are also sacrificial performances in Treta Yuga. So those things, you know, are useful in the Treta Yuga. Srila Prabhupada did not emphasize them strongly, or not. Here he says they're not for spiritual realization. They're not especially important at all. What do you think?
Yeah, I understood, Kriti Dhyayata Vishnu, meditating on the Supreme Lord Vishnu. That is the process of bhakti.
Ultimately, yeah, but the process of dhyan or mystic yoga is the method to do that. So people perform those activities, and among those who do sacrifices, they may have some fruitive activities mixed in, but then when they practice them really strictly, they make spiritual benefit in the Treta Yuga. Ultimately, all Vedic activities are meant for the satisfaction of Vishnu, Jagya Vai Vishnu. But in the beginning of the mystic yoga process or the process of yajna, people may not be thoroughly aware and conscious of those activities.
Mm. Anyway, I don't want to take much time, but the thing is, the process of attaining love for Krishna is different ways. 9 process of devotional service is given.
Yes.
And only through devotional service we can know him. And Gyan and karma will not give the devotion. So,
Yes.
My thought is it's applicable for all ages.
Devotional service is applicable for all ages, and these processes may be helpful in other ages to bring you to the process of devotional service, but in this age they're not.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what's being said here. That's a good point. It's a good point.
Yeah.
Ultimately, the only method for understanding Krishna is bhakti.
Right.
Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavanyaschasmi tatvata tato mam tatvato gyadva vishate tananantaram. That's the only method to actually collect and understand Krishna. But in other ages, these other preliminary activities can be helpful to bring us to that point. But in this age, they won't be. Nowadays, sometimes we think if we're really serious about something, then we'll perform a yajna, a fire yajna or something. But actually, Srila Prabhupada comments that the real important part of the yajna is the chanting of the holy names. Sankirtan yajna. Yeah. Sometimes during a yajna, you find there's a fire sacrifice, and the chanting of the mantras or the chanting of the holy names is a background activity. Much should be the featured activity primarily, for spiritual realization and for pleasing the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Eva Kevalam. Hare Ranam, Hare Ranam, Hare Ranam, Eva Kevalam.
Yeah, thank you.
Sure. Other comments or questions or corrections? Text 25.
অন্যথা যে মানে তার নাহিক নিস্তার নাহি 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 এ তিন এবকার
This verse clearly states that anyone who accepts any other path cannot be delivered. This is the reason for triple repetition, nothing else, nothing else, nothing else, which emphasizes the real process of self-realization. Mother Muktidatri, yeah.
তৃণ হইতে নিজ হইয়া সদা লবে নাম আপনি নিরভিমানী অন্যে দিবে মান
To chant the holy name always, one should be humbler than the grass in the street and devoid of all desire for personal honor. But one should offer others all respectful obeisances.
তরুসম সহিষ্ণুতা বৈষ্ণব করিবে ভর্ৎসন তারণে কাকে কিছু না বলিবে
A devotee engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord should practice forbearance like that of a tree. Even if rebuked or chastised, he should not say anything to others to retaliate.
কাটিলেহ তরু যেন কিছু না বুলয় শুকাইয়া মরে তবু জল না মাগয়
Or even if one cuts a tree, it never protests. And even if it is drying up and dying, it does not ask anyone for water. Report. This practice of forbearance, toror iva sahishnuna, is very difficult. But when one actually engages in chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, the quality of forbearance automatically develops. A person advanced in spiritual consciousness through the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra need not practice to develop it separately, for a devotee develops all good qualities simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra regularly. Toror iva sohishnuna, like a tree. So we have examples in the scriptures of this taking place. For example, there was a hunter. What was his name?
Mrigadi?
Yes, Mrigadi, the enemy of those animals, right? Adi. So his practice was he would enjoy not just killing animals, but what was that? Half killing them. Half killing them. So he would enjoy them torturing kind of the animal, seeing them die as a hunter. So, but he had the association of Narad Muni, who convinced him of the error of his ways. And Narad Muni engaged him in chanting the holy names of the Lord. So he had a few concerns, Mrigadi, about how he would live, because his livelihood was hunting, killing animals, perhaps selling them, keeping some, selling their skins, etc. So Narad Muni said, "Don't worry, it'll be Krishna will provide for you." So he followed Narad Muni's instructions and took a tulsi plant and worshipped that and chanted the holy name along with his wife. And people in the neighborhood who were somewhat pious, they saw this. Oh, this person has become a sadhu, and they began bringing whatever he needed for his maintenance there. So then Narad Muni and Parvat Muni later on came back to see Mrigadi, and seeing Narad Muni and Parvat Muni, Mrigadi decided of course he had to offer his obeisances. But he was a little bewildered because there were ants in the way. He had to brush them away. He didn't want to disturb the ants or injure the ants in any way. So Narad Muni said, "Oh, just see. This was previously a hunter. He would enjoy injuring animals and killing them, but now, simply by chanting of the holy names of the Lord, then he is not ready to cause trouble even to an ant." So Srila Prabhupada says, this quality of forbearance, tolerance, mercy, all those good qualities, they automatically develop in someone who regularly chants the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So then I was thinking what that word automatically means. Automatically, that's more or less a word from since the Industrial Revolution, I believe, in this day and age. So automatic means you can press a button and then so many things happen, after you press the button. Still, you have to press the button, right? If there's a machine, you press the button, it starts up, and then so many things happen. So pressing the button in this case, you have to continue pressing the button. That's chanting the whole Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So I looked up, I did a Veda-based search of automatically, and Srila Prabhupada often uses automatically when he refers to, like, if you have $1,000, you automatically have $50, $25, $100 automatically. You follow? Automatically, yeah. And the point is, it doesn't have to be, the quality of forbearance doesn't have to be endeavored for separately, but one has to simply chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra with attention, avoiding the offenses, and with deep sincerity, and then naturally, automatically, that will develop without having to go for forbearance separately. That's how he repeatedly explains that word automatically. Sometimes the question arises, well, since it happens automatically, do I have to do any renunciation? There was a discussion, an argument between two senior devotees in, not this year, but last year at the Sadhu Sangha, because one senior devotee was saying that, yes, you must give up certain material things in order to make progress, in Krishna consciousness. And the other devotee was saying, no, when I want to, automatically I'll give it up, because that's the development of the devotional creeper. You automatically you'll give it up. It's not going to be, I don't have to make an effort to give it up. So what do you think? Does one have to give certain things up or not?
with regards to your point, all these good qualities are intrinsic in spirit, pure soul. That pure soul is all good qualities are there already. So when we take to Krishna consciousness, those natural qualities will come. But your question is, do we have also try to follow? Externally we have to follow. Yes.
Give up some material things that or material attachments that may be there.
Yeah. That becomes both are needed, even though it naturally comes, those qualities, but one has to try make one's nature help using one's senses, mind and senses. They should act in such a way those are favorable, those nature will be favorable. Bhagavatam, isn't it Bhagavatam, this verse explains Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayajita Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yat Ahitukim. One immediately acquires the causeless knowledge and detachment from the world. That is, those will come at the same time. One has to cultivate oneself also. That's what my understanding. Both are needs to go parallel.
Can you give any, in addition to what you said about Vasudeva Bhagavati, in any specific, more relevant instruction about giving up material attachments in the process of devotional service being required?
You just gave example required, yeah. So I think if I understand correctly, if anything we need to give physically, that's what you're saying?
Any type of material attachments that we may have.
Rupa Goswami explains Atyahara Prasascha Prajalpanyamagraha Janasangascha Launyascha Sarvi Bhakti Vinashati. So following the rules and regulations are very important also. We cannot completely give up, and we have to at the same time, we cannot be just hard on it. Those things which are unfavorable for our devotional service, we must give up. So
for example, somebody is, they grew up in America, or, they grew up in India. They like to watch football on Sundays, or cricket on Sundays, or soccer on Sundays. And so one could say, well, yeah, I chanted Hare Krishna, but still I want to watch the football, or still I want to watch the soccer on Sunday. What do you think? Cricket.
Yeah, that's fine. Detachment from this world means detachment from this world is one will not like to. Once you know the nature of this world, when you take to devotional service, you understand the nature of this material world. It's like a yukta vairagya. You're living here now. As long as body is there, what bodily needs, those will continue. One will see if certain things if it's needed, but as not an attachment like Sunday. Oh, I must do on Sunday. Watch this. One should not be conditioned like this. But otherwise, one should be very clear. Taste develops in such a way that I don't want to come back to this world again. Detachment from this world.
Yes. So in the beginning, we encourage people, chant Hare Krishna, chant Hare Krishna, just chant Hare Krishna. But for progress, then it's recommended to
regulate,
give up certain material attachments, primarily meat eating, illicit sex, intoxication, and gambling. And then there may be others down the line, yes, football on Sunday, etc., or cricket, whatever it is. I don't know. But I see Brajesh Govinda has his hand up. Haribol. And Bob is there.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. Thank you. It's a nice. You are talking about the football. Then I just want to share. One of the devotee, my Guru Maharaj Srila Jayapataka Swami, the devotee asking, Guru Maharaj, can I watch the TV in the Damodar month or Purushottam month? Then Guru Maharaj said, you can, but don't turn on. You see how technical is nice thing. That's why I'm sharing. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Bhakta Bob there.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, I just wanted to chime in with what you were saying because I could relate. I mean, 5 or 6 years ago on a Sunday, I'd spend my whole Sunday in front of a TV watching football, watching the pregame, watching the Eagles, watching the postgame, watching the 4 o'clock game, watching the 8 o'clock game, and watching the stuff at 11 o'clock. And, as I've gone down this path, I find on Sundays now I'm in the kitchen more than I'm doing anything, watching football. I'm helping to set up the prashad, and that's given me a lot of joy. Do I still watch it? Sure. I'll sit there with my wife and watch a little bit, and I watched the Super Bowl with my dad, but I don't feel that attachment that I once had towards sports. It's more of a, I don't know, family bonding. I know, like my daughter and I have season tickets to the local soccer team, and it's like that's something her and I do. If win or lose, it doesn't really matter anymore because through this chanting, I've kind of seen a bigger picture. And It's like, okay, this is fun for a couple hours, but it ends after that, and I don't know. I don't know if that's what you were getting at, but I think if you go down this path, I don't know if you purposely give things up or it just kind of falls on the wayside because there is a bigger picture, there is a bigger end game, so to speak. So I hope that made any sense. Thank you.
It does. It was very, very nice. Yes, as you became more engaged in Krishna consciousness, the attachment slackened for those other kinds of activities like that. Of course, we in the offenses against the chanting of the holy name, the last one is what? To not have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names. And what?
Continue to have material attachments even after
Maintain material attachments. Means we got to keep going. We hold them. Yeah, we got to have them. We got to have them. You explained it nicely, Bhaktaba, but to maintain material attachments, even after understanding so many instructions. So there's both sides. Yeah, naturally, when one engages in Krishna service, slowly we get a higher taste. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina. Giving up material attachments is possible gradually as we get the higher taste for Lord Krishna's lotus feet, his service, his flute, etc. And maintaining things, even though we may get some taste for Krishna consciousness, but to maintain those attachments, that's dangerous for our spiritual life. Hare Krishna. Text 29.
এই মতো বৈষ্ণবকারে কিছু না মাগিব অযাচিত বৃত্তি কিংবা শাক ফল খাইব
Thus, a Vaishnava should not ask anything from anyone else. If someone gives him something without being asked, he should accept it. But if nothing comes, a Vaishnava should be satisfied to eat whatever vegetables and fruits are easily available.
সদা নাম লইব যথা লাভেতে সন্তুষ এতই আচার করে ভক্তি ধর্ম পুষ
One should strictly follow the principle of always chanting the holy name, and one should be satisfied with whatever he gets easily. Such devotional behavior solidly maintains one's devotional service.
ত্রিনাদপি শুনি যেন তরুরিব সহিষ্ণুনা আমনি নামানু দেন কীর্তনিয়া সদা হরি
One who thinks himself lower than the grass who is more tolerant than a tree and who does not expect personal honor, yet is always prepared to give all respects to others, can very easily always chant the holy name of the Lord. Purport. The grass is specifically mentioned in this verse because everyone tramples upon it, yet the grass never protests. This example indicates that a spiritual master or leader should not be proud of his position, being always humbler than an ordinary common man. He should go on preaching the cult of Caitanya Mahaprabhu by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And previously, Krishna Das Kaviraj said, grass in the street. It doesn't mention specifically in this verse, grass in the street. But I was wondering why grass in the street? So grass in the street is probably walked on a lot more than grass on somebody's lawn. So, in case you really get trampled on, then you can be grass in the street, like grass in the street. And, in the association of many different types of devotees, there's no question at a certain point or very many points in one's devotional life, there will be times when you and I and all of us will get trampled on in different ways. So this is exhorting us to be aware of that and be ready to take that position, because it'll be a Krishna's test to us about whether we can maintain a devotional attitude, a devotional interest. Krishna always tests his devotees for their benefit, to help them make progress and not be attached to things like position or pride, etc. Especially as one becomes been around the Hare Krishna movement longer, then nobody will be so bold as to give you instructions or corrections and stuff like that. So the tendency will be, as you've been around longer, who are you to tell me what to do? Who are you to say? Who are you to object? That's the tendency. So as we remain and try to do sincere service in Krishna consciousness, it's especially more difficult for us to remain in a humble position, so that we can continue our genuine Krishna consciousness into the future by chanting Hare Krishna mantra daily, regularly. Comments, questions about this? Of course, this is the third verse of the Shikshastakam. And you'll see Krishna Das Kaviraj is going to specifically exhort this verse here. Let's go to text 32.
ঊর্ধ্ব বাহু করি কহ শুনো সর্বলোক নাম সূত্রে গাথি পর কণ্ঠে এই শ্লোক.
Raising my hands, I declare, everyone, please hear me. String this verse on the thread of the holy name and wear it on your neck for continuous remembrance. Purport. When chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, in the beginning, one may commit many offenses which are called namabhas or namaparad. In this stage, there's no possibility of achieving perfect love of Krishna by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Therefore, one must chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra according to the principles of the above verse. Trinadapi sunichena toror iva sahishnuna. One should note in this connection that chanting involves the activities of the upper and lower lips as well as the tongue. All three must be engaged in chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. The words Hare Krishna should be very distinctly pronounced and heard. Sometimes one mechanically produces a hissing sound instead of chanting with the proper pronunciation, with the helps of the lips and tongue. Chanting is very simple, but one must practice it seriously. Therefore, the author of Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, advises everyone to keep this verse always strung about his neck. So as one chants regularly the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, especially important to focus on hearing the syllables of the Maha Mantra as mentioned here by Srila Prabhupada. Sometimes I know I find myself sometimes chanting and I hear, but I'm not really chanting the name Hare or Krishna or Rama at all, even close to what it should be. And so it's really important to correct myself all the time. It's not just, it's not just mumbling, blah, 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 blah. But, we're actually chanting Hare Krishna. And when you actually chant the name of Krishna, then you remember Krishna. That's natural. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. So, that's kind of this is an internal humility to remember that if we were actually chanting carefully, well, hearing, then we'd be really immediately self-realized, isn't it? That's the purport of the chanting of the holy name. So we have to improve. Every one of us has to improve our chanting in order to make progress in spiritual life and to please Srila Prabhupada, your spiritual master, and Krishna. So that's an internal, not dealing with other people, but dealing with oneself, thinking, I have to be very careful and do a good job when I'm chanting the holy names. Upper, lower lip, as well as the tongue. Hare Krishna, very distinctly pronounced and heard. Srila Prabhupada talks about a hissing sound. Anybody? I don't. A hissing is kind of a funny way to say it. Have you ever heard anyone chant with the hissing sound? Maybe I chant with the hissing sound. I don't know. I don't know. Anyway,
Always.
go ahead. What's that?
We hear it always like that.
Oh yeah.
So many devotees, they're chanting like that. Sometimes even in the kirtan, they comes and they chant. But I don't think they will hear themselves sometime, right? Even in the lecture, some people are chanting.
Oh, during
So-
lecture, yeah. That's one can chant if you have to chant, finish your rounds, and there's lecture time. Better go outside, not during the lecture in front of the person. That's disrespectful.
Mhm.
Or doing a kirtan, doing japa. Anyway, yes.
I've heard it before when people, it sounds like they're rushing to chant and they kind of,
There you go.
kind of sounds like a hissing sound.
Yeah, this is Prabhuji, they lost both of them because they lost kirtan, they lost lecture, they lost chanting, both, everything lost.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So the process of Krishna consciousness is it's very effective and it works, but one has to we have to remember to be careful to apply it carefully and with attention, like Srila Prabhupada is reminding us here. And we need these reminders regularly because if you're like me, we get off track and need to be careful about it. And if we do that, then the progress will be there. We'll see. Thank you. Text 33.
প্রভু আজ্ঞায় করো এই শ্লোক আচরণ অবশ্য পাইবে তবে শ্রীকৃষ্ণ চরণ।
One must strictly follow the principles given by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in this verse. If one simply follows in the footsteps of Lord Chaitanya and the Goswamis, certainly he will achieve the ultimate goal of life, the lotus feet of Sri Krishna.
তবে প্রভু শ্রীবাসের গৃহে নিরন্তর রাত্রে সংকীর্তন কইল এক সম্বৎসর।
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regularly led congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in the house of Srivas Thakur every night for 1 full year.
কপাট দিয়া কীর্তন করে পরম আবেশে পাষণ্ডী হাসিতে আইসে না পায় প্রবেশে।
the ecstatic chanting was performed with the doors closed, so that non-believers who came to make fun could not gain entrance. Purport. Chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is open to everyone, but sometimes non-believers come to disturb the ceremony of chanting. It is indicated herein that under such circumstances, the temple doors should be closed. Only bona fide chanters should be admitted, others should not. But when there's large-scale congregational chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we keep our temples open for everyone to join, and by the grace of Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu, this policy has given good results. Kirtan. So Lord Caitanya initially, for that first year, the doors were closed for his nocturnal kirtan. You probably remember that there was one Brahmin who Srivas Thakur thought, oh, he wants to come and witness the kirtan of Lord Caitanya. So he snuck him into his home so he could watch. And while Caitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees were chanting and doing kirtan in great love, Lord Caitanya said, something's wrong here. There's something wrong. I can't understand. So then finally, Srivas Thakur had to admit that he had snuck this other individual in. And the quality of this individual was that he only drank milk. That's it. No other. It was quite austere. So when Srivas Thakur explained that, Lord Caitanya said, oh, you think you can attain Krishna just by drinking milk? So he was concerned. He expressed his displeasure at that. But finally, the Brahmin then surrendered to Lord Caitanya and accepted his teaching. And then he joined the kirtan. So this was a unusual circumstance. Sometimes people are prevented from coming into the kirtan if they cause disturbance in various ways, because the important thing is the kirtan should be heard and chanted. Sometimes devotees play the instruments very, very loudly, so the kirtan can't be heard. The chanting of the holy names can't be heard. The first time I went to India in 1975, they had parikrama at different places in the Navadvip and Vrindavan area, and in some of those went to some temples, and in those temples during Aarti, people were just ringing bells and banging on gongs, but no kirtan. Did you ever had that experience? I might have mentioned that already, probably did. Anyway, I wondered how it got to be like that, just ringing bells, playing gong. But the sound of the chanting of the holy names should be prevalent, prominent, and the sounds of the instrument should be less, so that one can hear. The main process of chanting is to chant and hear. Here it says, Kirtana Shuni. Yeah, we have to hear it. Okay, next verse.
কীর্তন শুনি বাহিরে তারা জ্বলি পুড়ি মরে শ্রীবাসের দুঃখ দিতে নানা যুক্তি করে
Thus, the non-believers almost burned to ashes and died out of envy. To retaliate, they planned various ways to give trouble to Srivas Thakur. Why Srivas Thakur? Why Srivas Thakur?
Because it was happening in his Angam.
No, it was his place. So they didn't invite him. He didn't invite them. Okay.
একদিন বিপ্র নাম গোপাল ও চাপাল পাষণ্ডী প্রধান সেই দুর্মূর্খ বাচাল ভবানী পূজার সব সামগ্রী লইয়া রাত্রে শ্রীবাসের দ্বারে স্থান লেপাইয়া
One night, while kirtan was going on inside Srivas Thakur's house, a Brahmin named Gopal Chapal, the chief of the non-believers, who was talkative and very rough in his speech, placed all the paraphernalia for worshipping the goddess Durga outside Srivas Thakur's door. Purport. The Brahmin Gopal Chapal wanted to defame Srivas Thakur by proving that he was actually a Shakta, or a worshipper of Bhavani, the goddess Durga, who was externally posing as a Vaishnava. In Bengal, there is perpetual competition between the devotees of goddess Kali and the devotees of Lord Krishna. Generally, Bengalis, especially those who are meat eaters and drunkards, are very much attached to worshipping the goddesses Durga, Kali, Shitala, and Chandi. Such devotees who are known as Shaktas, or worshippers of the Shakti Tattva, are always envious of Vaishnavas. Since Srivas Thakur was a well-known and respected Vaishnav in Navadvip, Gopal Chapal wanted to reduce his prestige by bringing him down to the platform of the Shaktas. Therefore, outside Srivas Thakur's door, he placed various paraphernalia for worshipping Bhavani, the wife of Lord Shiva, such as a red flower, a plantain leaf, a pot of wine, and reddish sandalwood paste. In the morning, when Srivas Thakur saw all this paraphernalia in front of his door, he called for the respectable gentlemen of the neighborhood and showed them that at night he was worshipping goddess Bhavani. Very sorry, these gentlemen called for a sweeper to cleanse the place and purify it by sprinkling water and cow dung there. This incident concerning Gopal Chapal is not mentioned in the Caitanya Bhagavat. So just see, intimating that Srivas Thakur was a worshipper of goddess Kali or Bhavani was intended to insult him. Nowadays, people are very proud they are worshiping goddess Kali, Bhavani, but at the time of Lord Caitanya, it was considered low to do that. And so they put this Gopal Chapal, put these paraphernalia outside his door to defame him. But Srivas Thakur, showing the qualities just mentioned by Krishnadas Kaviraj, of what was that quality?
Tolerance.
Yeah, forbearance, right. He didn't take it seriously at all. And he jokingly said, oh, just see, I must be worshiping goddess Kali here. Look at this. But the gentlemen who were walking there, they immediately understood this was someone who trying to defame him. So they were very sorry, and they cleaned up after it. They had it cleaned there so that it wouldn't remain. So we'll see later that although Srivas Thakur didn't take it as a serious offense against him, still there are some ramifications for this Gopal Chapal. We'll see that later. Anybody have comment on this? No. Krishna Kirtan, don't you have some comment here?
On forbearance?
Or on this topic here, where this thing?
Yeah, I think it's gradually one will develop these qualities. That's what I was thinking. This material world, as you said, this material world will take us in the journey, and you become, as we practice, we become tolerant. We learn the nature of this world, and that's what Srimad Bhagavatam also, I think, speaks. The greatness of a person is estimated to the degree one tolerates the most provoking situation. So as we grow, as we progress, one will not react to it. And in fact, we will not feel bad. We will not, what do you call, when, you know, the person who is doing that, we will not feel bad on him also. It can be an instrument. One can be an instrument for our own spiritual progress. That's what also I'm thinking.
Yes, so Srivas Thakur here wasn't immediately interested in getting revenge against the person, right?
Yeah.
Who did this? Who did that? Let's get him. No,
Mhm.
he laughed it off. No problem. Okay. So as if he's identified as being a worshiper of goddess Bhavani, which is perhaps considered lower.
Mhm.
He's okay with that. You can consider me low. That's all right. Okay, let's end here.
I
Thank you all.
just had one question, Prabhu.
Oh, okay.
The items that were left there was a flower, plantain. Of course, the wine is not acceptable, but the other things are not. Why does it have to be cleansed and purified with, water and cow dung?
I would say it's probably related to the pot of wine.
Okay.
There may have been other things there too. These were specifically for God worship of goddess Durga, particularly the wine.
Yeah.
When Yudhishthira Maharaj was lamenting his being, after the Battle of Kurukshetra, and there was a recommendation that he perform some horse sacrifice, Ashvamedha Yagya. Then he said, well, you can't clean a pot that's had contained wine can never be cleaned. Never. So anyway, that's how I take it. Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. Pancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindhubhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Nice class.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu.